watchdog, IPID, has registered a criminal case against National Police Commissioner Khehla Sitole. The charge was laid in December last year, but has only come to light now. It relates to his alleged failure to cooperate with an investigation into the murder of top cop Charl Kinnear. The anti-gang detective was gunned down in Cape Town in September 2020, and eNCA's Bateman continues to work that story for you and has an update for us. So it's wild, man. It's just wild, is it not, Barry, that you have the police commissioner. And my understanding is that it was at his instigation in the first place that IPID got involved in investigating this. But as far as we understand now, he's not cooperating.
Well, that's it, these two letters, one to the Minister of Police, Khehla, one to the General himself from IPID, sets out a timeline for us going back to January last year when it was General Khehla Sitole who asked IPID to please investigate these circumstances surrounding the murder of Charl Kinnear, but also the findings of investigations done by the Hawks. But despite this, several attempts, at least 3 over the course of several months, IPID tried to get the General to sit down to answer questions, going as far as having a meeting with a legal person in the General's office, saying this is what we need him to answer. Despite this, the meeting simply didn't happen. He did not cooperate with their investigation, and that led IPID to opening or filing this criminal complaint in December last year of failure to cooperate as required by law in the IPID Act.
Sure. And, I mean, if you are in the position of the Kinnear family, wanting justice for your murdered loved one, this doesn't bode well for that process of trying to find justice. We've been talking to Charl Kinnear's widow, Nicolette. What has she had to say?
Disappointment. Because, you know, as you would have heard in the interview, she says as well, she was asking these kinds of questions and she put them to the portfolio committee long before this investigation actually started. And it's heartbreaking for her that now, even when the organization with the legal mandate to go and ask these questions of the people who have the answers, when they can't even get answers, she says it's a sorry state of affairs. So, you know, much disappointment, and she's hoping that what's happening now, this another process, will hopefully spur on the people with the answers to come forward.
And in the meantime, are we hearing anything from Sitole's office or the police ministry?
From Sitole's office, they're saying no comment. That was the response I got. It was simply that we're not commenting. So we're going to get nothing from there. The police ministry simply saying, confirming we have received this letter from the IPID and we've forwarded it on to the presidency's office as required.
And Barry, you know, because this is a story of much importance and import in the country, we also try and understand it from other stakeholders. I believe you've been having various conversations in the security sector as well as the academia that watch the security sector. What have you been hearing about, I describe the situation as wild, but I imagine that they also have their own words to describe this situation we find ourselves in.
Yeah, I got off an interview a short while ago with the Institute for Security Studies, Johan Berger, former policeman himself. And, you know, the way he described it is this is an untenable situation where you've got your #1 law enforcement officer in the country who doesn't appear to be abiding by the law. The IPID Act is very clear on what is required of police officers. They must cooperate. And here, on the face of it, is clear unwillingness by the General of SAPS to be held to those laws. So it's very concerning, and it just adds more to, for lack of a better word, ammunition that the President has to suspend or take action against the General.
I wonder what the explanation will be from Khehla Sitole. He does tend to take his time, but when he does come out, he will have a version, I imagine, his own version. You remember with the whole situation around the July unrest, when it was said you were missing in action, he did say that, look, I was at the Commissioner's command position in Pretoria. There was no need for me, the Minister, the KwaZulu-Natal Commissioner, to be out there in KZN during that time. So if you didn't see me, don't think I wasn't doing my work. And if important, ending up saying that if the Minister of Police was looking for me, he must have known where to find me at the command post. So I imagine that even in this case, he probably will have an explanation.
Well, he's going to struggle with an explanation because these letters that are sent out goes through a timeline, and it shows that there were efforts made over several months on several occasions by electronic mail, by telephone, by in-person meetings. And despite all of that, he simply did not make himself available. So I think he's going to really struggle to come up with something now in hindsight. He shouldn't come out now and explain why he wasn't available. There should have been the correspondence with the appropriate bodies at the time.
All right, thank you for that, Barry Bateman, working that story for us there around the complaint that has been lodged by IPID against the National Police Commissioner, Khehla Sitole. General Sitole, the ball is in your court, good sir.